Dr. Donley, and welcome to Intermittent Fasting. What is intermittent fasting? It is when you alternate between periods of caloric intake and extended time of no caloric intake. There's many ways to fast, but the most common way today is called time-restricted eating, or TRE. TRE is when you don't have any calories overnight for 16 hours. That leaves an 8-hour eating window during the day. An example would be to eat at 6 p.m., then no calories until 10 a.m. Things like water and black coffee are okay. Talk to your doctor first before starting. You don't want to do this if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, for example. Why 16 hours? Because this is the amount of time where autophagy really ramps up. In 2016, Dr. Yoshinori Osumi won the Nobel Prize for Autophagy. He found out that under periods of caloric restriction during fasting, cells ramp up their self-cleaning systems, so they're rid of debris and inefficient systems. So damaged proteins, like the one in this cell right here, are delivered to a structure called lysosomes, where they degrade. This happens more during fasting. Autophagy also applies to our mitochondria, where most of our energy is generated. So mitochondria also repair themselves and become more efficient under periods of caloric restriction. This means you make more energy more efficiently and your metabolism increases. What are the benefits of time-restricted eating long term? We just talked about autophagy, which is the self-cleaning mechanism of our cells. This way, they rid of debris and inefficient systems, and they work better. This also applies to mitochondria. We can generate energy more efficiently. Another benefit is weight loss, especially when you keep a fasting mimicking state during the day. A fasting mimicking state is when you eat foods with a lower glycemic index, which means your insulin production stays lower and constant. Since insulin is the storage hormone, like fat storage, it makes sense that keeping our insulin lower during fasting for 16 hours overnight and keeping a fasting mimicking state during the day will lead to fat loss. An example of a fasting mimicking state would be healthy fats and proteins, a rainbow of veggies and low glycemic fruits, and lower glycemic grain-like foods with lots of fiber, such as quinoa, amaranth, buckwheat, black rice, and sweet potato. Another benefit is reduction of insulin resistance, which is the basis of many chronic diseases. It is what happens in type 2 diabetes. In a nutshell, it is caused by too much insulin being produced in your body. So keeping insulin at a lower level with intermittent fasting and with healthy foods in the 8-hour eating window could help with insulin resistance. These methods tend to target visceral fat, or fat around our organs. Visceral fat is very inflammatory and contributes to insulin resistance and chronic disease. Longer fasts can really help with this under medical supervision. I suggest checking out the work by Dr. Jason Fung. Mental clarity is enhanced when you do time-restricted eating, mainly because of the process of autophagy, which cleans up our brain neurons to make them work better. You're also looking for your next meal so you're more focused. BDNF is increased, which is called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. BDNF increases the connections between your neurons. So autophagy makes your neurons work better, and BDNF increases the connections between neurons. Other benefits include decreased cancer risk, as cancer cells do not survive well under fasting conditions, decreased inflammation in your body overall, and increased longevity in your life, so you live longer. How do you do time-restricted eating? Start with a 12-hour fast overnight and work up to 16 hours as you get more used to it. There's a hormone called ghrelin, which makes your stomach growl and makes you hungry. This will level off over time and it will get easier to do the time-restricted eating at 16 hours. In the eating window of around 8 hours during the day, you want to eat nutrient-dense, lower glycemic foods, those that keep your insulin lower and constant. You want to eat around the same amount you normally do. If you restrict your calorie intake during the eating window in the day too much, you could enter starvation mode, which decreases your basal metabolic rate, thus your metabolism decreases dramatically. A bonus move would be to eat around the same time every day. This way your circadian rhythm would be on point and you'd have the most benefits. To summarize, the most popular version of intermittent fasting today is called time-restricted eating. This is where you don't eat overnight for 16 hours and eat during an 8-hour eating window during the day. You eat nutrient-dense diet with lower glycemic foods to keep your insulin level lower. This enhances the process of autophagy. Talk to your doctor before you start doing time-restricted eating or any fasting program in general. The benefits over time of time-restricted eating are autophagy, mitophagy, which is where your mitochondria clean themselves up, increased metabolism, increased energy, increased weight loss when you have a nutrient-dense, lower glycemic diet included, increased mental clarity, decreased insulin resistance, decreased inflammation, decreased oxidative damage, decreased cancer risk, and increased longevity in your life.